Greetings and welcome. Let's get the microphone. My name is Jake Grayson. I am a wildlife and food forest garden designer, and today I've got a potential job down south where I am, and it's really interesting job. And I just wanted to not talk about the job specifically, but about the issues that are raised around it. And it's a northeast facing small rectangle, 6 meters by about 6 meters, 3 meters, and it's very damp. It's a new build, and the builders have done the typical thing: load of topsoil, they've not sieved it at all, so it's got a load of docks growing out of it. Very damp, and no thought really has been given to the actual garden. It's a rectangle with a load of topsoil on it, with a load of docks coming up, and because it's shady and damp, the grass is not a good spot for grass. So I just wanted to talk about the kind of approach to this, and this is for the same for any garden really. Is like looking at what you've got and then trying to figure out the best approach for it. So I think the first thing to be said is to look at the infrastructure of the site, and to look at how you use the site. And I've got a thing here. Hold on. Where am I? Oh, that's my face is too big. Oh, that's annoying. I'll just have to. I'll read it out because I've got it written down here. The first thing that you want to do is to say, where is the sun on this? And the idea for there's a really cool app called called Sun Surveyor, and I'll bring that up. Oh, hold on, I've got it here. What am I doing? There we go. I've got that there. Sorry. So there's a really cool app called Sun Surveyor, and this allows you to track where the sun is in the sky at any time of year, because obviously the sun is at different positions at different times of the year. So in the summer it's higher up and it's broader. It rises further around from the east and sets further in the west. And in the winter it's narrower. You have a narrower band. You get less light. So it's really, really useful. I'll show it to you actually. Sun Surveyor. Because it is really, really useful to see to be able to get an idea of where the light's coming in, and you can go in different positions and you can see how much light that particular spot is getting. So that's the first thing. Where is the sun? And this comes down to the second point, which is using the space. And because it's an interesting layout, it's an interesting setup. It's a bit like an add-on garden. It doesn't flow naturally, so you've got to make the space work for you and make it usable, rather than there's got to be a reason to go there. And I think seating is a very good starting point, somewhere to sit down and then use that as the basis for the garden. Where do you want to sit? And then the term I use is coffee and cocktails, and the whole point of this is, would you have your coffee, cup of coffee in the morning, and where would you have your cocktail in the evening? Where's the morning sun? Where's the evening sun? And where would you sit outside? Because it's northeast facing, there is a possibility, and I don't know because I haven't been on site, but there is a possibility that in the far corner that there might be, on either side of the garden, there might be some late morning or early morning or late afternoon sun, possibly. But this is why it's always good. You need to look yourself at a particular spot. You need to be able to tell this yourself. So coffee and cocktails, seating areas, and from that you can then say, right, that's a seating area, or is this also going to be a barbecue area? Do you like cooking outside? Do you want a herb garden? Do you, are there any children? Does your pets use a garden? There's all these kind of questions that you really need to kind of look at as to how you want to use that space, and that kind of dictates the framework of the garden then. And then I think the key thing, and again I go back to this time and time again, is using paths and using them well. I saw a brilliant presentation by a chap called Alan Carter, who does food forest garden, and he was talking about accessing his forest garden from different points on the path. So you design the paths so that you can reach everything. And what's very nice about a garden, this is where the skill in the design comes, is even though you can reach it, it doesn't mean that it looks open and totally open to everything. You can have plants which are grown as a screen. You can have plants on the walls. You can have plants growing up fences. So there's a lot you can do, but you really want to think about the access to it and the paths. And because it's a very damp spot as well, I kind of would say you look at using hard standing paths. You want hard standing paths. Wood chip won't work. I mean, it kind of possibly will work. But it'd be too squelchy. It'll get muddy too quickly. You've got to keep on topping it up. So you have got to look at using some sort of hard standing path. Now, what is good is that there's lots of different options what you can use for hard standing paths. I'm just going to check that my volumes are up. That's cool. There are lots of different options that you can use for hard standing paths, which are like recycled materials. So there's kind of cheaper ways to do it. But whatever you're using, there is quite a lot of kind of preparation involved in it, because you do want to have drainage and you do want to have like a hardcore base. Whatever you're doing, whatever hard standing path you're using, you want a hardcore base because you want that drainage. You want your paths to be dry, preferably kind of raised up slightly as well. And then the question then is about the areas that you've got. Do you stick with the topsoil that you've got, or do you put extra different growing medium on top? I kind of, for simplicity, stick with the existing soil. But these are just kind of some ideas. And a big, where has he gone? One of my gardening heroes is John Little. I love it because he is working with different growing mediums. That's what he calls brownfield gardening. But if you can see here, he's got a whole load of sand, he's got a whole load of gravel, he's got gabions filled with recycled materials and bricks and things, and they look brilliant. They look really, really fantastic. So the infrastructure is using recycled materials, and I think there's an awful lot that you can learn from this and say, oh, great, we can use that. Okay, like these got, it's a damp garden, a raised path with metal grids on it. So there's just like so many things that you can kind of fit in. And the beauty of using different recycled materials is that you grow, you're not just going to have grass. You're not going to be kind of battling against, grass and docks and things, because that it's not the conditions that they like. They're like kind of rich, fertile, damp soils. So that's kind of the direction I go with it. And then I just want to talk about, as well, choosing the right plant. Beth Chatto, famous gardener, had I don't think it was her who said it, but she kind of emphasized it a lot, was right plant, right place. Really simple, but grow a plant that wants to grow there. It's northeast facing, it's damp. So grow plants that like to be in damp shade. Yeah. So that's what you want to be doing. That's the kind of, that's the ideal for it. Yep. So I just wanted to quickly show you. I use for all my photos, I use a thing called Cloudinary, which is brilliant for storing photos and referencing them later on. So I've got like foxgloves and stuff here, and then I also use Wikimedia Commons, which is absolutely fantastic as a kind of resource, like freely available photographs. So just a little aside. So the plants, then there's big walls and there's big fences, and I'd say get climbers up there. I'm a forest kind of wildlife and food forest gardener, so I would go for edibles and natives. And this is an espaliered tree, and it just shows you the kind of green. This is a very productive space, but it shows you what can be done. It kind of covers that wall and it provides some greenery, but it's also got a crop, and it's also really good for wildlife as well, for pollinators, and it's good for if you leave any apples on the tree, it'll be good for blackbirds and thrushes and the like. So that's one thing, espalier trees. I'm interested in using an espalier hazel, because it's a north-facing garden, and hazel will cut with part shade, and you can get, like, if you get a cultivar of a hazel, you can get a good nut crop as well, and it will be protected from squirrels because there's not any kind of big trees nearby. So it might actually be a really good spot for an espaliered hazel. So that's just like another idea. And then the other thing is you get what are called nativars, which are cultivars of native plants. So this is the Nicera periclymenum, which is a native honeysuckle. But this one from Bernkoos Nursery is this photo, and they're a really good nursery. This one is Belgica, I think it is. Yes. And it's a cultivar of the native. So if you're going to have, if you're going to have kind of prettier flowers and more scent and everything, go for a cultivar of a native plant, because then the insects will still eat it, and this is what we want to encourage in a wildlife garden, is insects eating your plants. Strange though that may sound, but you want to have a balanced ecosystem there. And then other plants as well, sweet cicely, and come into flower earlier on, and edible leaves, edible flowers, edible seeds, edible roots. You have them, eat them in salads. They've got medicinal uses. Fantastic, lovely plant, and really kind of pretty as well. And then you've got meadowsweet, which is one of my favourite plants. I mean, obviously I've got a few favourite plants, but really beautiful flowers later on. Likes part shade, damp conditions, so could be ideal for this particular garden. But this is the kind of thing you go, okay, it likes these conditions, what will grow there? And yeah, this is some just in our garden, which is growing up. I think there's some sweet cicely in there as well, sweet cicely seeds, and possibly foxgloves, depending upon the soil. It might be too damp for them, but this is up on the bank, part shade, grow tall, so kind of good cover as well. Flower earlier on. So yes, so those are just some thoughts and ideas about designing for a kind of a damp northerly space. Is where's the sun, be kind of clear where the sun is, and then using climbers, coffee and cocktails, you work out where the seating area is in the paths, and what else you want to do there, how you want to use the garden, and then finally is choosing the right plant, right place. And so you choose plants that will grow well in those conditions. So there we go. Right. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Oh yes, subscribe if you like these videos. Thank you. Cheers. Goodbye.